Hey there, it's Laurel again. I'm back with my third video for this week for the Catherine Pooler release. I hope you're not getting tired of my crazy. I know. Today I've got layered heat embossing and embossing with water. Did you know you can emboss with water? This is something I recently discovered and I'm like, what? What? So this video is again celebrating the latest Zen Garden collection from Catherine Pooler, and this is the card I'm going to be making today. This is a trial and error card. I never did all this layered embossing powder and stuff like that before, so we're going to see how it goes. This is the Faithful Fluttering stamp set. I've gone ahead and grabbed my trusty Misty here to help me out with placement. And I've got different ink formulations I pulled off that I thought would look good together. So we're going to see. This is green tea ink. This is going to be different, I'm just going to tell you. And I discovered some very interesting things when I was making this card, but I kept it in the video. This is some Icicle embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. This is his clear embossing powder. Y'all are sick of hearing me say it, but I love the embossing powder. I'll just leave it at that. It's just fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and emboss, ink and emboss as I go is kind of what I'm doing here. So this is shea butter, and I've got one of the smaller butterflies there. I'm going to ink that up with some shea butter. And this is Meant to Be. So I've got my first layer of butterflies down. So I'm going to again go ahead and heat the emboss, and then we're going to move on to the second layer. And this is what I didn't know was going to happen. I've never layered different colors before. And since Catherine Pooler's inks stay wet longer, you can heat emboss with them. So I'm not having to try to pull out all this colored embossing powder. I'm just using the inks that I already have. So the Faithful Fluttering stamp sets, you get 3 different layers for your butterfly. So this is the second layer. I'm going to go ahead and press down the Misty door and pick it up. And here I am going in with Peppermint Scrub. Now this is going to be interesting. You'll see in a minute. I'm teasing you, I know, but it's interesting. This is Seafoam. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. So I've got the red on the green. See the red? It's there. You can see the red right there. And then I've got the green on the yellow. Okay, and now my third layer, or my third butterfly, has Garden Party on it. Now I'm going to heat emboss and clear, and I want you to watch that red. The red disappeared when I heat embossed. Like, bye-bye red. I don't know. Whatever. So now I'm going in with the third layer of that butterfly here. I'm going to keep going. I'm going with it because it turns out beautifully. But I was like, where did my red go? I know it was there. So now I'm going to go in with Party Dress. Royal Treatment. Again, these are unusual color combinations, but I like how they looked together when I laid them all out, and that's polished for that third butterfly down there. So again, sprinkle on that embossing powder, heat set, and let's see what happens. Does the party dress disappear? I don't know. It's just wild to me, but it's so stinking pretty. So the party dress showed up a little bit. Not like it did when I stamped it, but it showed up a little bit. It's just wild to me. But I got to fix some mistakes because I did not line up my butterflies perfectly. So enter the Dove blender pen, which saves my life. Like somehow I missed that whole entire wing down there at the bottom of that butterfly. So I'm just going in with that blender pen and I'm filling in the areas that I missed. Like, I don't know, poor butterfly had like a clipped wing. So I'll just go in, this blender pen works fantastic. I just kind of wipe it away before I move on to the next color. I kind of scribble it off on my mat there. And then I'll go ahead and re-emboss all that stuff because that embossing powder is going to stick to that ink I just put down. So now everything looks fine and dandy and my butterfly does not have a clipped wing anymore. This is Blackjack ink. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that sentiment right down there. And heat emboss. Are y'all tired of watching me heat emboss? I know. My coffee filter almost blew off the table right there, by the way. Now I've got to give the butterflies bodies, or it looks funny. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the bodies. And yes, heat emboss. I know, all in that Blackjack ink. And do you see that thing at the bottom? I want you to totally ignore that strip. It was never there. It disappeared like magic. Ignore it. So here's the fun thing. Did you know you can heat emboss with water? This is Brutus Monroe Penny embossing powder, I believe it's called. So I am just flicking on some water flecks. Now you want big flecks because the little tiny flecks will blow away when you go to emboss it. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So you want kind of big droplets if you're going to emboss with water. So some of those small droplets are just going to just blow off into the wind. But the big ones, they stay there. And it takes a little bit longer to melt because it's not an embossing powder. It's, you know, you're not putting it down with a sticky ink. It's water. Golly, it's pretty. I didn't know you could do that. I live under a rock, I tell you. So anyway, so I'm actually embossing. You can see I'm going straight down because I don't want my powder to blow off the water. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Water. Water. And now since all of those images are embossed, I'm going to go ahead and apply a very, very light blue from It's a Boy color here. That's the Clarity stencil brush. Just very light because everything's embossed, so it's going to resist the ink that I put down, just to give like a little something something in the center of that card. Again, that strip down there, that little, just ignore that. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, but I was not going to start over. This is case in point of me making a card work right here. So all I did was hack that part off and rounded the corners, and look at this beautiful card. Look at that embossing. I mean, really. So there you go. Thanks for watching. So this is actually for this week, video 4. So I hope you're following me. Video 1, actually you can win some Catherine Pooler ink for this week that went live on the 12th. So I hope you'll follow me, and I hope you are following me. Subscribe, comment, thumbs up, no thumbs down. Thumbs down's bad. And thanks so much for joining me today. Bye.